Shalom, everybody. Welcome to the Midrash portion of Reunion Roadmap. This is David Jones, and with me today is Barry Phillips. Shalom, brother.
Shalom, David.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you ever get used to something and then you take it for granted?
Yes.
I think if we're
I'll
honest,
have
we
to
can all
confess as
answer
much.
yes. Yeah, we all at some point in our lives just expect something to happen, and we just kind of take it for granted that it's normal. It's just the way it is, and cease to see maybe efforts that others have done for us or different things, and it becomes an expectation, and then we don't become thankful. We're not grateful. We're not, actually seeing this as something that someone is maybe doing out of the kindness of their hearts or whatever, or them just being, good towards us and showing us love. And it just becomes now, it's just an expectation. And people can do this with God. I'm going to kind of set us up here a little bit. Back in Deuteronomy, Moses is talking to the second generation in the wilderness as they're getting ready to go into the land, and he's expounding the Torah that they've received, and he's telling them how life is going to be different when they go in the land, the things are to remember, the things are to not forget, the things they are to do, and all of this when they're going into the land. But yet, as he's rounding towards the end of the book, we find something pretty interesting in Deuteronomy 29. And I'm just going to hit the first 3 verses here. It says, Moses called all Israel and said to them, "You have seen all that Adonai did before your eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and all his servants and all his land. The great trials that your eyes saw, those great signs and wonders. But to this day, Adonai has not given you a heart to know, eyes to see, or ears to hear." So a couple interesting things that I want to bring out here in this. One is that there's nowhere else in the Torah that combines these three senses together. The that your eyes saw the great signs and wonders, right? But then he has in Deuteronomy 29:3, the heart to know, the eyes seeing, the ears to hear. So the heart and the mind go together, as it was the heart was considered, the seat of knowledge and everything, your thoughts, your intent, and everything was the heart. So the heart, the eyes, and the ears together. But yet, this is how we experience life. We experience life through our senses. We experience life through all of that. And so what happens here is while we're going through something, we may see it, we may hear it, we may, see some things there, but we may not completely really understand some things that we're going through or some things that we're experiencing until later in life. It's kind of like hindsight's 2020 kind of thought. We
just had the same thought. Yes.
So it's like, oh, wow, I wish I would have known that then what was really happening. We're kind of like, we're witnessing history, boys. I mean, we don't really think about that. And even the first generation, when Yah brought them out of Mitzrayim, and there they are, they're at the sea, and they're on the other side. Yahweh performs miracles, and they break out in spontaneous song and praise and thanks, and this is awesome. But nowhere else do we see that in the Torah, where Israel is really expressing gratitude. They're being grateful for the things that Yahweh has done for them. In other words, they became accustomed to the miraculous. Even every day, Yahweh gave them manna, and they spoke bad about the manna. They became accustomed to the miraculous and ceased to have gratitude for the miracles that Yahweh did in their midst. And let me rephrase it and put it this way. They became entitled to the miracles.
Another word for entitled is spoiled.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
A child early in their development, very early in their development, they will subconsciously begin to look for where are the boundaries. What is it that I can and cannot do? The first time you tell a child no, That's the first brick in the wall type thing. It's the establishing of a boundary, and whatever that no is, whatever it's about, they're going to immediately, typically so, they will immediately try again just to see if no means no. After a while, they'll understand, I don't do that. And then you start adding the other things that will build a boundary again around them. People oftentimes will quip that, what are you guys doing? You're going back under the law. You're going back into bondage. Why would you want to do that? The Torah is a very large, boundaried lifestyle. There is plenty of room within the boundaries of the Torah to live an enjoyable, joyful, thrilling, life-fulfilling existence. Everything that we would desire that is wholesome and righteous and good is found within the boundaries of the Torah. Yah is not withholding any good thing from us. But what do we want to do? We want to go over to where the boundary markers are and stick our little toe over it and see if anything happens.
Yeah.
We don't appreciate that which is within the boundaries of the Torah. We feel entitled to be able to expand it to our own desires and pleasures. Well, I know the Torah says that, but it doesn't apply to me because, I'm in exile, so, it doesn't apply to me. Well, I'm from the South, and that's just not the way that we do things around here. And we will make our cultural exceptions, and we'll fudge on things because we feel entitled to do so. Once it's not hard to see that America is turned into a very entitled culture. It's everywhere. We then want to apply that same mentality to the very thing that we're trying to use to shape our lives in a beneficial way. And after a while, it's like, okay, who's in charge here? Is it the one who gave the Torah, or is it ourselves? And we're going to grocery shop the Torah to our own pleasure. Just walk up and down the aisles of the Torah and say, I'll take this and leave that. I'm off my soapbox now. I'm sorry.
Well, it goes along with kind of what I'm thinking here. It's like when we're like, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm not that, and take that and that. It's not a matter of us receiving and taking an active involvement in something. We're approaching it with the idea of what can I get out of it. And the problem with that, along with the entitlement theme here, the problem with that is people don't appreciate what they haven't paid for. People don't appreciate.
Whoa. Say that again.
People do not appreciate what they have not paid for.
So if you give it to them, they don't appreciate it.
They don't see it as having value. See, and it's like, if I don't value something and you do, and you give it to me, I still don't value it. And so if I do not have an involvement in something, then I'm not going to appreciate what it takes for that involvement. I've heard it put this way too, that the people who contribute the least to a cause complain the most. And as well as the more that people are given, the more they will complain about what they've been given. That's kind of a tough thing there, isn't it?
Yeah, I was taught kind of early on that if you want something other, you got to work for it. You would like to buy that? Well, then you need to find a way to earn some money and buy it. Then we used to use the phrase "hard-earned money."
Mm-hmm.
If you're a kid and you're mowing yards to save up enough money for whatever your desire is, while that sweat's running down your face and it's hot and the bees get after you and all of those kind of things, you keep reminding yourself of the benefit of your labor. When you walk into wherever it is that you're going to make your purchase, sometimes you say, you know what? I don't know if I want that bad or not. I kind of like the idea that I've got this cash on hand, and maybe that thing is not as important to me as I thought. When we realize the price that was paid to bring Israel out of bondage, Yah kept reminding them, I am the Elohim who has brought you up out of the land of Mitzrayim. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we often can quote the verse that says, we will no longer say Yahweh Elohim who brought Israel up out of the land of Mitzrayim, but Yahweh Elohim who has gathered us from the four corners or from the nations of the earth. There is an expenditure, there is a price being paid in the days ahead, and we're going to remember what he has done in our day. David, is it possible to make it into the kingdom and not appreciate it? Not appreciate the price that will be paid to get us there?
I'm thinking of Yeshua saying, he who has been forgiven much loves much. And if we have that heart of gratitude, then we can appreciate, although we may not fully understand the cost truly, but we can definitely appreciate the value that Yahweh himself became flesh, dwelt among us, laid his life down, resurrected, so that we could have a place of relationship with him in covenant.
Yes.
And even, Yeshua's disciples, he said, follow me. That cost them something. We say, well, salvation is free. It has been given to us free as a gift, but everything after that cost you something. To be justified is free. Sanctification, learning how to walk holy, that's daily, and that costs you. That's making the choices to walk with Yahweh. That's making the choice to follow Yeshua when the world dictates otherwise. And that, I believe, is learning to walk in covenant. And that is where we start to understand a little more of the value. And that's where the gratitude starts to come in. And if we just have a thankful heart for what Yahweh's done for us, if we realize the things that we've been forgiven, the things that we've been redeemed from, then I don't think we'll take him for granted.
Well, I would even argue that salvation is not free. Even on our side, Yeshua freely gave himself. It cost him his life. He willingly gave his life for us to have our redemption. But when we come to that place, it cost us our life. We have to be willing to say, my life is not mine anymore. I give it back to you. For us to be a recipient of Yeshua's offer of redemption and being born again, and then live our lives selfishly, we miss the whole point. Salvation is not a self-improvement technique. It is a life-changing, new identity, become a new person experience. And that means we die to ourselves in order to live, for him. So, there's...
Well, that's I must decrease so he must increase.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a surrendering of our heart, our lives, our soul, everything that we are. And doing that willingly is that heart of gratitude to where and I still believe we would still take Yahweh for granted and so many things that we may not see or understand. Back to the main point that we started with in Deuteronomy 29:3. But this day, God has given you the heart to know, the eyes to see, and the ears to hear. This day. And in other places here we have in the Torah, this day you have declared that Yahweh is your Elohim. I submit to you, let every day be this day.
That's it. And this day has run out of time. We do appreciate your listening. We appreciate any comments and questions that you send, which you can do so at reunionroadmap at B'naiYosefNA.com. And David, we'll see you guys next week.
Shalom, brother.